The President, after listening to the comments and the request by the Defense Council and the response by the co-prosecutor regarding the document by the UNHCR representative, the trial chamber would like to inform the parties that all the parties can make a written submission according to your understanding to the chamber, so that the chamber will consider and issue a decision at a later stage. Next, for our proceeding on the questionings on the facts related to the accused, the chamber would like to ask Mr. Kaing, alias Duch, to describe the establishment and the creation of Security Office M13 located in Om Leang, Spong, Kampong Speu, and the M13B where you used to work, according to your recollection. The floor is yours. The accused. Mr. President, I would like to express my thanks for allowing me to speak on the history of M13 within the jurisdiction. Also, I have a request. Before I want to mention M13, I would like the President to inform all the participants about my history before even the creation of M13, if the President permits. The President, yes, the Chamber permits. The accused. The trial chamber, Your Honors, my interest with politics started in 1957. Until 1964, in October, I decided to join the revolution. I believed my decision was proper at the time. I sacrificed everything for the revolution, sincerely and absolutely. In this context, the salary I received, which was 7,200 reals, which I planned before I started to work, that I would save that money, that I would save 4,000 to 5,000 for my future. I changed that idea. I sacrificed all this for the revolution. At the same time, there was an event observed by the people that I used to frequently visit my mother in Stu. I never visited her again because I knew my parents understood that it was a good path that I chose. However, they did not want me to do it because of fearing of imprisonment or death or arrest. The third observation, especially for my teachers whom I taught at school, they observed my sympathy and my feeling at the time. I would like to inform the President that at that time, I presumed my activities were within a communist party amongst the half-colonial, half-dictatorship regime. I was not afraid of being arrested or imprisoned. Mr. President, my activities at the time, which was absolute with the revolution, caused the head of the monk to adore me, to appreciate me. However, he beat me. I knew that he liked me very much. So I told the truth to the head of the monk, and he pardoned me. At that time, he also gave me some advice that the path I took was correct, and that probably I joined with the Free Khmer at the time. The Khmer Free was not positive. They would use other people as shield for their own protection. So with this encouragement, I continued my activities. On the 29th of October, my apology, I would like to talk about my sacrifice of the 5,000 reals, and I only saved 1,900 for my monthly leave. During a vacancy in 1967, I tried to work as a laborer to see how difficult it was. I gave away my teacher's clothes and wore the laborer's clothes to work. In one day, I earned 20 reals, and I worked the whole days of the week. In June or July 67, I studied a special secret session of the Communist Party of Cambodia. Chai Kim Hu was the instructor at the time, and there were plenty of documents at that time. One of the documents was a strategic view of the CPK. The second document is the strategical policy for the CPK, and this document no longer exists. And the third is the party statute, the 1960 party statute. And the fourth is the view. And the fifth is the view also of the party members. In October 1967, Von Wade asked me to work. It was the first time I met with Von Wade. He introduced me to the party. But then the inauguration has to be done in Jamkamon. So he took me to the countryside. Then I went to say goodbye to my parents. Let me say in detail. My father was shocked at the time. He gave me a lucky waistband for luck. So I said goodbye to my parents, to my friends. My friends gave me a watch. So I said goodbye to my friends in Kampong Thom. I went to say goodbye to my head of monk and another friend in the pagoda as well. So I departed. At that time, the party induction was done on the 25th of November 67, and the inductor was those people who knew me and Mr. Kaipok. At that time, I stood before the party's flag. I raised my hand to respect and to swear to be sincere to the party, the class, and the people of Cambodia for my entire life, and to serve the party, the class, and the people for my entire life without being fear, and that I would sacrifice anything for the party. That's the principle of party induction. That was done on the 25th of December, and I was arrested in January. I was not afraid when I was arrested, because that's the path I chose. On the 3rd of April 70, before the National Assembly, after 3 weeks, I returned back from the from my home. I returned in order to receive the duties from the parties. At that time, I was told I should be aware of myself, because Lon Non had their own secret spies in order to arrest the people. So I was careful at the time. At that same time, I also made a report, my analysis, and I was very vigilant at the time. Those who were released from prisons all remained, but except one. But I did not to make a presumption that he was arrested by the non's clique because the person was female. In August 1970 or 68, I think it was 70, August 70, I went to the countryside the second time in order to conduct my activities. That was when I see the complicated conflict. First, I only saw the conflicts between the revolution and Mr. Nol. But now I saw complicated conflict between the Vietnamese Labour Party in An Giang province went to establish its organization in Cambodia. They shot and killed a Cambodian person, Ong Am, in Tonle Basa River in Praise Day. They killed the candidate of their own Labour Party, but the person was Campuchia Kram original, Mr. Chao Kaing at Tiban Pagoda. I thought that was an ordinary conflict, but then I believed it is the implementation of the Chinese federal policy. At that time, there was a conflict, internal conflict between the CPK in order to grab power. Mr. Siswat Butmani was a deputy secretary in charge of Sector 25. And he was a party member, and another party member, Kung Chiet, and 3 party members were arrested. The secretary, Sok Bot Jamran, was under house arrest. I, myself, and Mr. Kamrat Pond were still in the military unit to serve, to teach morality, and until May, I had good connection with the general staff of Sector 25. Then I moved to Southwest, and that when I went for training. And on the 28th of May, of July, that I became the head of the office M13. So that was the historical background of my involvement with the revolution. At the time that I received duty as the head of M13, I begged them that I was so afraid, because this police office had to pay respect to the superior. And if the superior was Thun Chamran or Muni, the former 25 secretary sector, they would be in danger. If the superior was arrested, then the subordinates would be arrested. After I heard that, Mr. Chakam Ho said, your opinion was right. Those who were arrested were responsible for the history. So do not demand to make any arrest. Even if your report, you have to be careful and not biased or to want to arrest this or that person. So the persons who were decided to be arrested were the party members who decide, like Mr. Tam Mok or Ong Chuen or Mr. C, Chiu Chiet, or Mr. Pal, Hut Hain, or Von, Brother Von. And as the President knows, Von Wait, they were members of the Central Committee. So they were responsible before the history. So you don't have to be concerned. You just focus on your work, your duty. He also said, the people want their children to accomplish this task in order to protect our liberated zones, to protect the lives of the people. I did not ask. I begged them, but I did not ask any question. I just wanted to teach, that's all. So whom shall we depended upon? The threat by the teaching of the police related to the killings of the people in the country. So the people needs to have friends. And he also said he was afraid. Mr. Chakam Ho said, it's regretful that you, comrade, you did not read a book which is in French. I told him, oh brother, maybe we could not do according to the movie that we watched in Phnom Penh. However, he said, try your best. Don't forget that we liberate the country, not to liberate the land without its people. it's important for us to liberate the people. So I could not protest against him, and I told him I dare not to kill anyone. I dare not. He said, we the intellectual, we have to be strict. However, we learned from the people and let the peasants do it. We only have the duty to tell them. So I accepted. To sum up with, for the M13, that is its historical background. Firstly, one person who was arrested was named Hing, or Kai Hing, or Kai Bun Hieng, I forget. I asked him, I begged him, but he wouldn't answer. At that time, I asked him at a monk's residence near the road. At that time, so then people came and beat him up, and Kai Hing said, I was a spy, I was assigned to come. And then asked, where was the base? And that was the time I tried to analyze the truth. That was the time I tried to see and analyze. So for those who cannot be freed, then I would ask Pon to, and for those people who I wanted to release, and that I could release, then I would interrogate those persons by myself. I released some people, but at that location, as mentioned in the book of Poktai Boncho, it was dark, it was wet, and people died due to the lack of light, starvation, hygiene, or medicine. So I moved the place from Tmokop on Long Veng to another village near Peace Mountain called Tul Svai Mi or Ta Liu. And we worked at the rice field at the time. And then we fought to seize the weapons because I did not want to be a police. And then I begged Mr. Comrade Von Wait to punish me. You can discipline me. And Von Wait looked straight in my face. And he turned aside. He did not give me any answer. And then he sent people more for interrogation. So I thought, oh, I would not be able to escape this duty. In order to comfort myself, I recite a form, La Mode de Rouge. I just try to recite it in French. Plare je mieux, prier, étiquellement l'âge, fait énergiquement talon et l'octage, et dans la voie de où le soir, tableau tapelé, souffrir, aimer sans tacler, le mot. I try to recite the poem. So in order to resolve the conflict within myself, that's what I did. And at that time, there was another event, which caused me and Tamok's a conflict. I tried to please him. He sent Song Ha Hyun, who is his clique, to me for interrogation. And Song Ha Hyun was a theater actor. He liked Song Ha Hyun and Sambut the same. So they both critical theaters. I knew that he was at the Jamka Kroch, so I wanted to ask him, and he said, don't beat. Yes, I said, yes, I want to beat him. And he wrote a letter to Song Ha Hyun, and then I took the letter to him. I dare not to beat him. And Tamok satisfied with me, and he instructed me that, Comrade Duch, be careful. This is the struggling period, and the previous struggling period, we lost a piece of our land successively. But for Song Ha Hyun, I was not allowed to beat. It is normal if the superior made any instructions, nobody dare not to release or to do anything against it. until the living condition made him die. At the same time, also there is a conflict between him. One day, one Hanoi cadre was arrested. He was a deputy commander at the military office. And he asked me, you had to ask him quickly and urgently. Who asked him to do the activity? You don't forget to read the papers that were sent. It was a piece of paper torn from a book from Comrade Chong. I said, oh, that is going to be a disaster. And then we meet Comrade Chong, a deputy commander. And then I took the mosquitoes they made from Comrade Jan. I think a boat shot Comrade Jan, or Comrade Jan shot himself, but they are not to protest Mr. Mok. So I ran to report to Comrade Von, and Von reported to Chim. At that time, Tamok said, I would not use Duch anymore. So then there was a word from the center that we had to be political, don't base our position on technical. At that time there was an event also in Om Leang. One person's name But. He fled with another person's wife. He ran away with that woman to Ut Dong and met with Pong Jim, a colonel and a lieutenant colonel of the Lunol soldiers. And a few days later he returned. But Comrade C arrested him and sent it to me for interrogation. And when I interrogated, yes, I beat him at the time. And he revealed about the weapons. That the weapons were brought into the liberated zone in order to rebel against me. And Tamok said, find those weapons. And the company will be given to the battalion. And Chu Jin advised me at the time. And at that time, people from Om Leang were arrested, about 50 of them. So I could not recall the names, but I probably remember about 20 plus of those people's names. And finally, for my own experience, I interrogated one person, Mr. Ngem Sambond, by myself. It took me nearly 1 month to complete. Therefore, the torture, the beating, and the interrogation, I did strive my best to do it. To sum up, what I did at M13, I recall them clearly. I determined that I will write a document about my crimes that I did onto my people at the time, and to recall those names involved. And wherever the cruel activities did by myself, I would reveal, and I already planned it. It might take 15 to 20 paragraphs. I plan to write that context in order to write about my own personal crimes that I committed on the nation and its own, my own people. I would like to clarify that from that on, Chai Kum Ho, they are not to say anything about the revolution, about liberate the land or its people. He did not talk on that particular topic anymore. Other people said, oh, what we did was true. We only eradicate the dictatorships or the proletariat class. I thought, oh, it's going to be a disaster. That's what I wanted to avoid from the police office, but I did not. At the M13 in summary, that's what it is. And I would like your honors to question me As you please. Thank you.
The President, I would like the charged person to sit down and respond to questions. Next, I don't know whether our judges have any questions to ask the accused concerning the M13. Judge Jong Mak, you take the floor.
When you spoke for the first time before this court, you answered to the accusations that were carried out against you. And you said, and I hope that I'm not going to misrepresent what you said that the Cambodian people have suffered following the executions that started in 1966, in particular because of the policies that were implemented by Lon Nol. And then, as of the coup d'etat of 1970, there was, and if I've understood correctly, there was a competition between all of the parties to kill the Cambodian people. So the first thing that I want to know, do you confirm this statement, which seems to me to be the first sentence that you pronounced?
The accused, thank you, Judge Lavenge. My review concerning the execution of Cambodian people, I still maintain the position, the previous view. Regarding that matter, my crimes in which I participated at SM13, I would elaborate as the following. The death toll of people at SM13, I would like to seek forgiveness like the victims who died at S21. People who died, I will express my remorse and seek their forgiveness the right time when the court allows me to do so. Coming back to the execution concerning the killing of my people, I think it relates to the politics, and I will be elaborating further if you think I may be of any assistance, but based on my analysis.
Judge Lavergne, maybe we will have the opportunity to get back to M13 a bit later. I would like now to speak about the period that was before M13, because I think it's also important to redraw the historical context in which M13 came about. You spoke about the executions that started in '66. I'd like you to tell us if personally you were a witness to political violence, and what you can tell us about this.
Thanks, Judge Lavenge. I have followed the political situation after the 1966 election clearly. However, I did not witness the situation by myself. Although what stated by Khieu Samphan in his book, I did not really clearly see it. I knew that the execution in some load was little, but everything caused by General Lon Nol.
Judge Lavergne answering, still in the political context, of course, we will go back to your detention, speaking about your detention a bit later, but you also spoke about the coup d'etat of 1970. So a coup d'etat through which Sihanouk was deposed, and a republican regime that was set up by Lon Nol was installed. Can you tell us? Can you tell us how this was perceived? In particular, how the declaration of March 1970 was perceived, through which Prince Sihanouk asked the Cambodian people to rise up. I'd like to understand how the Communist CPK, Communist Party of Cambodia, experienced this period, and how was there a real union? What happened, in fact?
The accused, Judge Lavergne, I would like to respond to your question based on my political view. Samdech Norodom Sihanouk was the head of state of Cambodia. His position was the populist, to preserve his throne. It was not Norodom Sihanouk. Lon Nol was affiliated with the United States, and when he grasped or controlled the assembly in 1966, he managed he really caused the dispute and the uprising in Samlot. At the Sihanoukist side, and the other side is the communist side, which are affiliated with Marxist and Leninist. And these things were mixed up. I think, through my understanding, if Richard Nixon did not be quick to allow Lon Nol to start the coup d'etat and allowing Khmer Rouge to cooperate with Sihanouk, I think Khmer Rouge would already be demolished, or otherwise they would never be able to stand up again. But Mr. Kissinger and Richard Nixon were quick, and that and the Khmer Rouge noted the golden opportunity, and King Sihanouk declared from China that all Cambodian people go through to the Makis jungle, and then the Khmer Rouge troops were built up from 1970s to 1975. I think this is the political context, and people tried to gain, to have political gain. Lon Nol tried to benefit from politics, and then Sihanouk also tried to gain benefit for his side. At that time, there were a union.
Outside the outside the government of Cambodia in Beijing, it's called the Matapep Hotel in Beijing. And for Pol Pot, he was in the jungle to